So I just recently saw this video where there was this female pastor. Apparently she had confronted someone at the church and she was speaking about someone having, I guess, trying to mess with her man or something like that, her husband. And I really don't know the background to everything, but she said she would basically kick her behind. She said it in other words, right in the middle of the sermon. And she threatened to see her out in the streets, that she'll catch her out in the streets. And people were talking about her, talking about her behavior. And this is the thing I have to say about this. Yes, I agree. She should not have addressed the situation that way. But this is the thing. A lot of people take advantage of servants of God. When God has called his people into ministry, you think that we're supposed to just put up with everything you do to us. A lot of you who are not in ministry work, you're just sitting in the church, warming the pool, warming the seats, and just doing whatever you want to do every day and thinking everybody else is supposed to carry your burdens, put up with your garbage just because God anointed us for a certain calling. You're forgetting that we're human beings too. At the end of the day, we have feelings, we have emotions. We're not robots. We're not some stone rock that you can just do whatever you want to. And a lot of people take us for granted and think, oh, because you're doing God's work, you have to take whatever. Look at me. Look how I look every day. Like I said, there's a woman who's been casting all her burdens upon me. So yes, I understand and I can empathize with how this woman might feel. I don't know her situation. But yes, if there's a servant that God has called to try and help you out of your crap and out of your trouble, you're supposed to respect and appreciate that person. You're not supposed to be sitting here casting all your burdens upon them, disrespecting them and treating them any kind of way. And yes, I agree that no one should be sitting up in a church trying to mess with somebody's husband. I don't know the situation behind it. Maybe the man threw himself at them, but you shouldn't be trying to entice anyone's husband. And you're in the church. You're supposed to be going to the church to get healing and deliverance and seeking God about your issues, not trying to fornicate with the pastor's husband. That makes no sense. And this is the thing. It's like a lot of people say, oh, they're condemning her, but you can sit here and judge all day. A lot of you are not even doing God's work. First of all, you're just sitting here. You claim to have all this righteousness and holiness because I would love to see you in this situation because God showed me that the labors are few. So, you got all this input and you have all this advice and you can speak about, the type of discretion this woman should have used. Anybody can sit back in a situation, point their fingers if they're not in the circumstances. If you're not dealing with the circumstances, you're not dealing with people every day. It's burdensome. It's burdensome dealing with the same old people who don't want to change, dealing with the same old people who just want to keep coming to the pastor or coming to the servant of God to get prayer and thinking that everybody's supposed to carry your burdens and put up with your garbage. You can treat them any kind of way like they're not even human beings. We're human beings. We have emotions, we have families, and I myself have been dealing with stuff where I can understand and empathize with this pastor. You get tired of taking people's crap. And a lot of times God forces people into ministry. You might say, oh, why are you in ministry? A lot of times God forces people to ministry. A lot of times we have our own things that we have not worked out, but God forces us out there and we have to basically deal with other people and their stuff while we're still trying to deal with our own stuff at home. So you don't understand a person's situation. If you're so holy and so godly, like I said, then stand up and start taking on these roles yourself so there won't be so much burdens on other people. Start praying for the servants of God instead of judging them and talking about how they should react in the situation, especially a situation that you yourself would never go into because you won't even sit up here and even take on a calling of God because you're sitting up here doing what you want to do just for yourself and your family. You wouldn't dare deal with this kind of stuff. Like I said, you don't know what people have to deal with. A lot of people still have issues and they have to grow spiritually. Just because they're a servant of God does not mean that they're perfect. A lot of time, God calls the imperfect people into ministry work. Yes, you're supposed to get to a level where that stuff's not supposed to bother you, where you're supposed to be an example. But like I said, when you're dealing with people, a lot of times people take you for granted. And it is hard. It is burdensome to deal with your own stuff at home, be a human being, just dealing with everyday issues and then have to deal with a host of other people's problems every day. And then you have people with their demons because they can't get their demons under control because they want to keep sinning and doing whatever they want and keep putting their burdens on other people. Then you have to deal with their crap and then deal with them harassing you and causing problems to you. And God expects you to keep dealing with the problems of his people. And this is what you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. People who don't want to get themselves together, who want to keep making excuses, who want to keep continuing in their sins. And yes, I empathize for this person. So I will be praying for this pastor. And I suggest a lot of you who are sitting up in the comments who got a lot to say about, oh, that's not an anointed person. Anointed person don't act like that. Well, how does an anointed person act? Because if an anointed person acts a certain way, then I would love to see you show the examples to the rest of the world. Show us how an anointed person acts. Because you can still be anointed and at still at the end of the day, you still have your emotions. You could have things that you're going through also. And people always want to sit in the background judge. And they did the same thing to me. Like I said, take over this ministry then. Because I don't see anybody. I don't see no volunteers. Take over the ministry work. I said it before. God, you have laborers. All these YouTube critics in the comments who's so holy and righteous and tells you how you can act in a situation. I would love for you to take on these situations and do the work that God is making a lot of us do. See how you will enjoy carrying those burdens for you and your family.